Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with Schelli Creacy. Schelli and her great horse, Super, did very, very well at Pink Buckle last year, and we're going to talk about Super. We're going to talk about our futurity horse for this year, Eddie. Schelli, I'm so thankful that we get to visit. Tell us about the horse that you brought here.
Well, the horse that I brought for the futurity this year, his name is Sia in La Jolla Eddie, which is the worst name possible for all announcers because they have trouble with it. He's been doing really good. He's a 5-year-old Eddie Stinson gelding, and we got him when he was 2. He was part of the package deal that came with Super, and we saved him to be a 5-year-old futurity colt because he was growing. He's a big guy, but he's just now starting to come into his season. He's a late bloomer, but I'm super excited for his future.
He's been a fun one to observe. It's been fun to watch you bring him along because he's, like you mentioned, a big horse. He's very fast, very forward, got a huge stride. So how have you kind of taught him the blueprint of how you'd like him to run? I know how they place their feet is very important to you. Go into further detail on that.
Well, my husband is a cow horse trainer. He's a cutting horse trainer from Australia, and his foundational, I have laughed and said that if Eddie had been broke by anyone else, I probably wouldn't be having the results that I'm having. Because when the big horses learn to run, it always comes back to how were they, are they broke? Are they broke at a run? And so a lot of what we do with this colt to keep him, he's not got a lot of turn in his bloodline. So I figured out about a year ago that for him, turning was not natural. And so we figured out how to lengthen his stride and then collect it back up. And then lengthen and then collect it back up. So you'll see he never really looks like he's running, but it's more about a feel of, we switched him from the left back to the right before the Breeders' Challenge in Ardmore in July. It's like he was waiting on us to do that. And we put some, I've interviewed nearly everyone around here that has ridden Eddie Stinson colts, and I got some really good advice from some different trainers. But with my husband's help, we keep this colt very light in the face, meaning we don't just loose rein ride around on him. Like, you'll see me in the warm-up pen, I'll be doing figure eights, I might be backing him up, because he's so forward motion with that lengthy stride that I want him thinking about me, my feet, and my hands. Because the run's already there. Yeah. We don't have to open that box. Yeah. So if I can help him with all my horses, I try and train from pressure with my feet and my legs. So when I take my feet out, that means rate. So you'll see, I have a lot of people say, well, you don't look like you kick much. But that's more of a cow horse. The way I ride the cow horse way is more squeezing. And so when I take my feet out, they know they're supposed to slow down, slow their stride down, etc. Come back to you a little bit. But now that the run's hitting him, I'm trying to figure out what does he need from me, because I want him to run, but I want it to be easy for him. And sometimes these big horses, they get to running and then they get all out of whack because the turn comes too, turn comes too soon, and then they can't slow their stride down. So for him, it's just like I posted the video of Andrea Klein last year for Pop the Bubbly. That horse was a master at lengthening and then coming back, shortening his stride to turn. A lot of people, I watch their videos, I'll watch how do they cue with their body. Ashley Schaefer's one that I watch to ride with their hips. And when I do my job right, he tends to do his job right. I don't think our horses are trying to outthink us. But a lot of cow horse stuff, you'll see me doing a lot of backing, and then it's more of a reining horse move where they have to step back over themselves so that your feet are engaged.
I love that. Thank you for breaking that down for us. My final question for you is, we were talking a little bit off camera before we hit record about how you really factor a horse's personality into your training approach, and I find that so fascinating. So can you dig into that a little more for us?
So I was visiting with her about the fact that I went through some training about 10 or 11 years ago that was life-changing, basically, for me. It was personality training, like figuring out everybody falls into four spots. That's personality. If anybody's ever done any of the Myers-Briggs stuff, this is the same type of training. They just have different names for it. So as I've developed my training, I've started to notice that horses literally exhibit different personality traits than we realize. And so my big deal is trying to find out, where does the horse that I'm riding and training and communicating with, what do they lead with? Do they lead with being a fun personality where they, we can't keep their attention, or they're, they're all over the place mentally? Well, that usually falls into the category of Sapphire, where they're fun motivated. It has to be engaging. If you're not careful, you'll make them bored, and then they're not really mentally engaged in their job. Eddie falls into what I would call the more Pearl personality, to where he's more laid back. My husband has said since we broke him that he'll make somebody a fabulous rodeo horse one day because nothing bothers him. But in that, he's a little bit like, you have to keep him interested in it. Because he's like, just da-da-da, So this personality training has been outstanding, because my horse Super that did get here last year, he is raging Sapphire. Like, he is fun, oh my gosh, but then you throw some Ruby in there on top of it when you go down the alley, because he's all business, and he has been that way since I first started running him. So this has been like the insight into how to pull just that little extra to where they enjoy their job, to where I'm out of their way as a jockey, and you kind of figure out how to develop that into a foundation that they're more comfortable doing their job. So it's been exciting to learn, and you'll go through the barn and you'll start labeling your horses, and you'll see how they react, and you can just develop that, and it's just like raising kids. It literally is like running a horse daycare.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I love that, and I think, good horsemanship is clear communication, right? And so thank you for digging into that. We're thrilled to have you back this year, and good luck this week.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Okay, back to the action.